Junkyard Roadhouse was built to resemble an Old West saloon. The center part of the false front was stacked higher than the sides. A covered front porch offered shade, and hemp-plaz carbon fiber composite building materials had the appearance of weathered wood boards. Exterior lights flickered like gas lanterns. Sturdy double doors that looked like oak were repurposed, reprogrammed, repainted spaceship hatches. In front of the doors, steel barricades had been constructed in the shape of hitching posts to keep the occasional drunken biker from driving his bike inside, just to see if he could get away with it. The sign at the facade's apex glowed in the dark sky. Lasers neon red at night, painted red beneath to read by day. The roadhouse looked homey, the kind of place a biker could bring his kids and have a meal with expectations of getting out alive, and without bloodshed. But it was built like a fort, with a graphite epoxy frame and its armaments well placed and out of sight. Silk-plaz windows let in outside light, but no visuals and no heat from inside showed through, inconveniencing drive-by shooters or long-range assassins. And my bouncer would be a droid, if Mateo and Jolene got it put together in time, so enforcing the rules of entry, which were printed on the doors, would be no problem. I shoved the hood of my jacket back and stared at my new place, my breath puffing in white clouds. I had never considered a life not in hiding, but in the open, under my own name, and free. It had never crossed my mind because it had been impossible. Yet here I was, known to the world as Shining Smith, my roadhouse, ready to open. And it was bloody fine. Near me, in his mostly repaired warbot suit, Mateo fully extended his 3 longer legs, rising over my head to see the grounds from a higher angle. "Looks good," he said, his metallic larynx raspy, emotionless. "I like that you can't see the office from here, or the scanners from outside." We'd built in front of the office, closer to the street. Everyone who entered the roadhouse doors had to pass through a scanner that worked as metal detector, X-ray machine, and explosive detection device to make sure the first rule of entry was followed to the letter. The first rule was, no weapons allowed. Below the first rule was a description of what constituted a weapon. Pocket knives with blades 5 centimeters or longer were considered weapons. Box cutters were considered weapons. Toenail clippers were not considered weapons, but employing them in the roadhouse was considered a breach of good manners. Second rule of entry was no fighting. Fighting was considered anything that broke furniture, spilled drinks, knocked out teeth, or drew blood. Arm wrestling was not considered fighting. Disagreements that required fists were relegated to the fighting ring in the parking lot and overseen by Mateo. The punishment for breaking the second rule was severe. The rules of entry was long, and all the repercussions for breaking them were ruthless. Biker clubs tended to be legalistic these days. Not that most made men would read the rules. "Company, shining sugar," Jolene said into my comms earpiece. "Where?" I asked the AI. "My scanners indicate something heading in from the west, down Pond Fork Road. So I activated more RVACs. There's one rider on a scooter heading this way. Fully electric, no detectable weapons. Rider's a little person." "Like a dwarf or midget?" Amos called from the open roadhouse door. "Shush," Cupcake said, snapping a dishcloth at him. "What'd I do?" "No, Amos, darling," Jolene said. "Like a child."